Hi, welcome. This time we're doing the same owl pattern, but we're going to be making it um, focusing on the outer two-in-one. So focusing on what we can make freehand after the pattern is done. So I'm actually going to be using paper clips instead of staples. That gives us a lot more room for creativity. Less stability for the beginners. I know a lot of the beginners really like the staples, but we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave the little curlicue here until the end because it will definitely destabilize the rest of this pattern. So I'm gonna cut out these first, and then we'll decide what else we want to do, and then we'll finish off. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll cut out the beak first. And then we'll work on the feathers. The good thing about paper clips is you can always move them to wherever you need them. Could be reused over and over, so wherever you need them to be on whatever project that they need to be on. I generally use paper clips instead of staples, but I know a lot of the beginners really, for stability as you're learning your scissor skills, you prefer the staples, so there's nothing wrong with that. As you improve your scissor skills, I hope you'll challenge yourself and start designing your own patterns and doing a little freehand, and then I think the paper clips will become your favorite. But use what you need to use as you're learning. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the center. Actually, maybe this time I'll add just a little bit of detail to the center while we're here. It's easier to add the details before you cut it away, just because it's such a small piece it would be hard to hold on to on its own. So I'm just going to go ahead. Let's see. Let's move this out of the way a little bit. Just kind of echo this outer curve here. Give just a little bit of pattern to this small star. Just remember, any leftover piece, as long as it has a fold on both sides of this triangle, both of the long sides of the triangle, that it can become another snowflake. So whether it's above or below the pattern, or inside the pattern in some way, if it has at least one fold, so this one has two folds on this side and two folds over here, it can become its own snowflake. So let's go ahead and open this and see what we have. Just from adding a few little details. There we go. Okay, and then we just need to decide what we're going to want to add to this outer piece. So I think I'm going to again echo this area here. Maybe even put a little echo in here. These ears are. I'm going to make this a little longer of an echo. Be really careful not to tear it. Sometimes there's a little piece that wants to hold on. Sometimes, that's a good thing that's doing this. Sometimes it, when you go to move your paper clip, it'll want to rip. So I'm going to rotate this out instead of pulling straight back. Sometimes it's good to have hiccups while you're watching, because then you know what reality is. You have an idea of how to deal with it when it happens to you. So again, I'm going to just kind of echo this little bit above his ears. Always remembering that I'm going to need to keep at least a little bit of a fold on both sides. Preferably 2 folds on both sides just for stability, but at least a little bit of the fold on both sides. You can see that it's starting to move a little bit on me as I'm working, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can stabilize that, maybe from this side. See if we can get just a little bit of stability so it will stay the same throughout the whole snowflake. Not life and death if it doesn't, but just a tip for you. And then I'm going to make this the outside, but I want to decide what I'm going to do over here on the other side. Not quite decided yet. So this adds kind of a funny little shape. It's that little feather sticking up off of his head adds a funny shape onto this side of the outer 2-in-1. So maybe, maybe we'll come over from this side and kind of decide that way. So this will be the outside, and I will come over from here, and I have to add at least a little bit. So I think I'm going to go up just a little bit like that. I'm going to put this here for stability again. Move these out of the way. Let's see, so I know I'm going to need to come up here and go across. How much of that do I want to keep as part of the outer 2-in-1 snowflake? Well, I'm thinking about that. I'm going to go ahead and do the inside of this one. Ahead and cut out the eye. I usually use scissors, but I know a lot of people are comfortable with using X-Acto knives or other cutting blades, so if you are comfortable with that, that's perfectly fine. I try my best to keep it a child-friendly, family-friendly activity, so we usually just use scissors. It is completely up to your household and what you are comfortable with. So I am paying close attention to if my layers are shifting, because I do not want them to shift as I'm coming around that corner. I want to keep everything the same, and I don't want to accidentally cut off, since I am keeping it as an outer 2-in-1. I don't want to accidentally cut off a piece. Now when I made the other one, for the original when I was just focused on the owl, you will notice that I just went ahead and did it in sections. It made it a lot easier. But here I am, I want to make 2 snowflakes out of 1. Actually, I guess it's 3 snowflakes in 1 if you count the smaller sections. So taking a little more time, putting in a little bit more effort, using a little more cutting skills. But again, if I mess up, it's okay. I can change the snowflake They're very forgiving. It's paper, you can change it. Sometimes you like what it turns out to be more than the original, so don't be afraid if something goes wrong to try something else. Part of art is the enjoyment of the process, and I would have to say a huge part of art for me is the enjoyment of the process. So please don't feel like it needs to look exactly like the pattern. The patterns are here for you to learn. I want them to be a challenge for you, but I don't want you to feel like you need to make it look exactly the same. I would rather have you add some of your own personality into it. I'd much rather have you enjoy it than have you feel like it needs to look like mine. Okay, so we're gonna unfold this guy in a minute. Well, maybe we'll unfold him right now so that you can see what he looks like. So here is our nest of owls, little baby owlets. I'll set him off to the side for just a second. And then we'll go ahead. Still need to decide what I want to do over here. So I could just take the pattern off completely because I'm obviously not following the pattern at all. Maybe we'll just go ahead and fold it down here. But I just need to decide what I want to do with this little piece. Do I want to keep this little piece that was, I guess maybe we'll kind of continue the echo idea that we had going on. We'll just make a little echo here around that feather. I think I want to do just a teeny little diamond here. One side is very straight and one side is very curvy. So see how that turns out on the final one. I might have to zoom out a little bit. Let's move stuff out of the way here. All right, and then let's go ahead and open this up. See if I can find it. There we go. So you always are playing with light and shadow when you're doing snowflakes, and we always like to hang them up in our windows and just kind of watch how the light plays with them throughout the day. It's just interesting to see throughout the day how the light changes.